Temple's playing really good basketball right now. Won 5 of 6 games, and I know Coach Fisher very well, and a ton of respect for Temple's basketball program over the years. Just obviously one of the elite programs in the country, and their team is playing really well right now. So if coaching staff, players, and in American Conference play being 1-0, we know what kind of challenge it'll be for us tomorrow night.
It obviously stinks to get off to 2 losses, but you've gotten down early in both those games, and your team has fought back. Is it a lot easier to coach a team who's losing when clearly the heart and the effort is there?
I think the losing word is I don't want to accept that. I don't think we got down early to South Florida either. I think the score was 10-10 with 10 minutes to go in the first half. I think they took a lead late in the first half, and in the second half they went on that 14-2 run. So we got down actually in the second half. We got down by double digits, down big. No doubt versus FAU, we went down early. They get out to a 13-2 start. But what I'll say about this team, whether you talk about being easy or losing, is that this team is a competitive, passionate team that really plays physical basketball. And so what happens is, yeah, you get down the scores, but I don't think our guys get rattled when it comes to that. If I had my pick, we wouldn't get down double digits and have to rely on intensity and competitiveness and physicality. But I do appreciate the fight of this team. But by no means is that any kind of game plan. FAU came out and shot the ball really well to start the game. You give them, made 6 of their first 7 threes. When we played South Florida, we played really good in that first half until later in the first half. They ended up going up 8 or 9. Then we battled back, and we actually get ourselves into a game in the second half, late in the second half. South Florida's a pretty good team. They just went into Wichita and won by 20 last night on the road. So, again, every game has its own character, but this team will continue to compete regardless of the score. I just hope we can be up sometimes competing like that, obviously, to your point.
You talked so much about the three-point line the other night. As you look back at the film, what were some of the things you saw on both ends for the team?
The other night versus FAU?
On Sunday, yes.
Yeah. Well, again, they came out and they shot the ball really well to start. They made 6 of their first 7 threes. They made 7 in the first half. They only made 3 in the second half. So they only took 20 for the game. FAU was a team that at one point made 17 threes in one game this season. We only allowed them to get 20 off, and that's part of what we're trying to do to defend that three-point line. Right now in this conference and across college basketball, there are so many teams that have 4 shooters out there at one time. And so with that being the case, sometimes it's about how much you can prevent them from getting threes off as much as it is forcing them into missing threes. Because when there's 4 shooters out on the court, then they're going to get three-point attempts off. So that was really our goal versus South Florida and FAU, 2 of the really good three-point shooting teams in the conference. And I'll be honest with you, it's the same with Temple. They got guys starting with Mashburn shooting 44%. But when I look back at it, it was really, as you alluded to, it was that first 10 minutes of the game where they went 6 of 7 to start. I mean, it was an 18-point swing. We got down 13 and then we were up 5. But that first 5-6 minutes of the game where they punched us and they made threes like that, and of those 6 made threes, 4 of them were really contested shots. We lost one in transition, and they got one off of an offensive rebound. That was a killer. Ball bounced. They ended up getting one in the right corner off right wing off an offensive rebound. Those are going to happen versus good teams, good offensive teams particularly. FAU was a team that was averaging 80-plus points a game coming into the game. So when I look at that, and then I look at our shots, we took 19 threes. 14 of the 19 came out of catch-and-shoot rhythm threes. We have talked about this before of the 4 areas. The three-point shooting right now is one that's struggling. We're taking care of the basketball, we're offensive rebounding, and we're getting to the free throw line. But the other night, the shooting wasn't there at the free throw line and on the three-point line, and that ended up being the difference, as unfortunately it's been in probably about 4 or 5 games this year.
You talk about Jamal Mashburn and shooting 44% from 3. What else does he do to impact the game?
Everything. He's as good of a guard as there is in this conference, and to be honest with you, that makes him as good as a guard as there is in the country. And he's proven that over his career. He's a really, really dynamic scorer. One of the things that separates Mashburn from a lot of players is his ability to score and shoot off the bounce. In today's day and age, catch and shoot, the elite shooters, that's one thing. That is hard enough to guard. But when you talk about Mashburn, someone that can raise up from anywhere on the court off the bounce, boy, that's prolific. And they're a team that plays in isolation and in ball screens at a high usage rate. So with him, he becomes as tough as anyone to guard in the league because of his ability off the bounce and to shoot it.
I think they're 8th or 9th in the country in free throw attempts per game. Is it something they do well, or their opponents just not guarded with discipline?
They do well, man. They do well. We're right up there too. And again, I have so much respect for Temple, this whole conference, and the opponents we've played. We get to the free throw line. We got to the free throw line 25 times the other night. FAU got there 9. Unfortunately, we don't make the free throws that we need to make. Free throws are a huge part of the game. It's the most efficient way to score is the free throw line. And I give Coach Fisher, Temple a ton of credit because they know that. They shoot the ball well, but they get to the free throw line. We're going to have to be very disciplined, as you said, to attempt to keep them off the free throw line. But this is a matchup between two teams that rely heavily on free throw rate. And again, you're talking about two top 60 teams in the country getting to the free throw line.
Obviously, you got Jordan Riley going against his old team. I know this era of college basketball, the revenge factor is not quite there as much as it used to be, but how nice is it to have him on your team versus preparing for him?
I'll be totally honest with you. It hasn't even come up one time. It has not come up one time in terms of that. It hasn't come up within our program. I know Coach Fisher really well, man. This is a first-class, big-time coach. Temple is a big-time program. My gut feel, I don't think it's even come up one time in their program. Today's era of college basketball, I mean, the team we play Saturday, which I know it's Memphis. That's all I know about them. I know this. Every time they play a team, they're going to play against a former player from someone in the league that's on their team. So I think that has now become irrelevant. We're just very thankful and happy that we have Jordan Riley because we love him. They always said great things about Jordan Riley. Adam Fisher did. And it's just one of those situations. This is what college athletics is now, not just college basketball.
Speaking to that, I mean, what do you feel like he's done well for you guys of late?
Jordan?
Yeah.
Oh, he is so consistent. Jordan Riley, if we flip the cameras right now into practice and you watch how Jordan Riley practices, he does the same thing in the games. You know, he's not a guy that you have to call a bunch of plays for. He goes and gets it off his defense. He had 5 steals the other night. He goes and gets it off the offensive glass. He's as good of a mid-range player, in my opinion, that I've coached in terms of his ability to score in the mid-range. And he just does it with a blue-collar, hard-hat, grit mentality. And you know what? That's who we are. That's who we are as a program, and he represents that at the highest level, consistently. Thank you, guys. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Do you have any memories of watching Mashburn Senior play when you were a kid?
Oh, of course, man. He's an elite player. I watched him play at Kentucky. I watched him play in the NBA. He's one of those guys, you know. He's just one of those elite basketball players that you remember as a youngster. And you know, I do believe in those genetics and genes of NBA players to college players and families. I do, because I think it's up here. And you watch Mashburn play, he's got a great feel for the game, and he probably grew up as a kid just hearing his dad and family talk about it and watching him, and just a ton of respect for him and his father. But yeah, a great player, but absolutely I remember.
Thanks, guys.